All right, welcome to week 5 of the Coaches Show, and once again, this time in studio, joined by the voice of the Greenbacks.
That was the problem last week.
Austin.
I jinxed the whole week. Was jinxed from that.
Well, we found someone to blame it on. All
Thank
right.
you. I'll take it all on my shoulders.
And once again, the head coach of the Greenback football team, now 3-1. Always thankful that you show up, win, lose, or thank God this isn't soccer and draw is an option.
Right.
But yeah, always appreciative of your time to come in and sit down and chat with us on these, whether the outcome of the game or not. I know you're a busy guy, so
it's good.
Yeah. Let's just get right into that Cheney game. I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Losses are going to come, but what's the overall thoughts coming out of that? It's just kind of an odd game, especially the way it ended and everything. Just
we just didn't feel quite right all night. We just didn't ever get any momentum rolling. Any 50-50 thing that could happen went against us, and then we just dug too big of a hole. Now to our kids' credit, we fought in the second half, and I thought offensively when we started executing and doing, going to the right spots, we ran the ball at will and moved the ball down the field. We scored 21 in the second half and it wasn't over yet, and that's with losing a possession because of the safety and free kick and all of that. I thought we moved the ball really well in the second half. It's just that's a big hole for us to climb out of, and so I think it's a learning experience for our kids. We'd been talking for the last few weeks about taking the appropriate amount of detail in practice and doing things always right, and it's really hard sometimes to drive those points home when you're kicking people's butts. It's sometimes that reality for, when we were all that way, when we were 14, 18 years old, the reality sets in. Then when you lose, like, hey, maybe we should focus in a little more. Maybe we should hone in on these details. And, and credit to Cheney. They're a good team. They played really, really well. Played by far the best I'd seen them play on tape in terms of execution, throws. He was on the money all night. And yeah, it's just a tough one.
Coach, you talked about kind of looking at those mistakes even after a win, and you were to be the first one to say how hard you are on your team after a win, looking at film. So what's it like then after a loss, looking at the film and some of those things? Are you as hard, or maybe you tone it back a little bit and say, hey, now we really, because it actually bit us in the butt this time?
Yeah, and I think that's what you do. I don't think you can be. I told the kids that it's a lot easier to be really critical when we win big, because you take it better. When you lose, everyone hurts. It hurts, and we work really hard all year round for this, and obviously that was a big district game, and those hurt. Our seniors, they hurt. So there's no point in pouring salt in that wound. We talked about things that we just have to execute better, but we talked just in general about aiming points and more understanding what defenses are trying to do to us on defense, and then offensively, on offense, and then defensively. I thought the big thing on Friday was getting our eyes right. Our eyes just weren't right, and then they're really active. They do a lot of route combinations. They get behind you really easy when your eyes aren't right or when your paths are wrong. And I thought offensively, paths-wise, we just talked about where we want to go according to what we see in a game and the adjustments we make, depending on how are they squeezing us when they have pullers coming at us. Are they getting upfield? Are they getting down the line? Are they keeping their shoulders square? Just all those stuff, and how do you adjust accordingly? Because that's just sometimes what you have to do in a game, and figure that out. And then we talked about defensively getting our eyes right and making sure we're reading our right keys, because when we read our keys, we did really, really good things. When we didn't read our keys and when we ducked inside and stuff at defensive end, then he got out of the pocket, that's when we started having a lot of issues. We got him in a lot of third and longs. We just got to finish those off and get punts going. And then we got in a lot of third and shorts, fourth and shorts, and we just got to finish those off. And so I told the kids, I said, guys, we're really, really close. And we showed, I don't, probably 5-6 plays in the first half alone, that if we had one more person go in the correct spot blocking wise, instead of a 2-yard gain, it was going to be a 30-40 yard gain. I mean, we had several, when you look back, and that's the benefit of looking on film, of course, saying, man, look how close this was. If we would have got that guy right there that this person was supposed to go to, man, that was set up nicely, and we had a huge gain, but they're trying to make plays too, and unfortunately it doesn't always happen, and Friday night wasn't our night.
Coach, I'm going to get to a phone call, one of our loyal listeners. Again, I'll get to it a little early just because it was a similar question that I'd probably ask in this situation. So we got one coming in here from Timish here. I'm going to let her roll.
Hey, guys. Eric Timish here again. First thing, sorry to hear about last week. It was a tough loss to a tough team. This leads into my question for Coach Hoelting. I want to know how you rally the troops or motivate your kids to keep them grinding and preparing for the following weeks, because we all know the season is far from over. Thanks.
Boy, Timish again. Great question, Timish. Thank you.
And what you said, the season is far from over. You know, we got a lot of season left, and I think first thing you tell them, this game Friday night is a huge hurdle to a potential back-to-back league titles. And you know, I said, guys, even last year we won a league title. We've only won 3 of them in the last 20-some years since 2000. So league titles are special. You know, that's a big deal to me to be at the top of your league, and especially to do it, you know, on repeat 2 years in a row. So I think that's something you can really hang your hat on and be proud of. And so I think, first of all, we talked about that. I mean, it's a big rivalry game, and it's a big game for the league title. So we got to refocus. You know, it's not a district game, but it's a league game. And then two, you know, like I told him Friday night, there's going to be 7.2 billion people that wake up tomorrow and not even know this game happened. You know, and it's hard, and I'm not very good. I've told you guys that, and my wife would tell you I probably wasn't the most fun person this weekend to be around. I didn't sleep real well, but ultimately, you know, there's so many more important things in life. You know, there's so many big things that happen with people that try to gain perspective. Sometimes losses put that into perspective and your priorities into perspective, whether it be your kids, your family, or whatever. So I think you refocus on that, and then I think you just talk about, you know, it's a process. Football is a process. It's not always about the outcome. It's about, are we doing things to make ourselves better? Are we being the best that we can be? And if we're doing that, then sometimes you're going to run up against a team that plays a better game than you. And that's life. And that's going to be life in every avenue. But I think if you're doing the right things and saying, what can we improve? What did we see that we did wrong? All of us, coaches on down. And then let's go fix that to the best of our ability. And let's go take our shot next week.
Coach, you talked about just kind of looking ahead and focusing on a league game, but going back to the Cheney game, talking about how that was the best you think they've played all season based on their film. Did they do anything different that maybe you guys weren't expecting? Their quarterback ran for the most he's run all season. Some of those kind of things that you were like, we didn't know that was going to happen.
No, I think that was probably the most disappointing part is they ran exactly what we thought they were going to run. But they give you a lot of eye candy like we do. One thing they did that we probably weren't expecting, I mean, we knew they were going to do it. They just did it, honestly. But they were probably more athletic than we thought maybe on film. They played a lot of games with their defensive ends and outside linebackers, stunting in and out, playing off of each other, one crashing out, one crashing in. And that got in our heads a little bit. You know, it's hard. We know we have rules to follow, but, man, it's hard. It's hard when they're doing that stuff and they're athletic and you want to stop them. And that's the guy originally you're supposed to block, but then all of a sudden he vacates your path, you know, and we teach him just keep going on your path. Well, human instinct says, well, that's my guy. I got to go follow him. And then when we did, that's when you open up those big rush lanes and stuff like that. So, you know, I think that's something we learned from. And then just paths. We knew we wanted to keep him in the pocket. And he did a really good job. You know, in previous games, he'd kind of thrown the ball up for grabs, throwing it. He did a really good job of being patient, and he really delivered some nice footballs on the move and getting outside the pocket. So, like I said, credit to them. You know, they played great, and our kids are a resilient bunch. They'll bounce back. But, yeah, it was just unfortunate.
I thought one of the noticeable things, too, just speaking on their athleticism, was how well, you know, they ran their routes. Yeah. How much separation they got coming out of those breaks.
Especially the Voth kid.
The Voth kid could run a sharp route. And that ball was in the air before he made the cut. I mean, it was really well executed.
They did.
Offense.
They're a well-coached team, and they do a great job. I mean, Voth's hips, he's not – and that's the thing that people always – you know, you look at his speed, and I think he has listed on his Twitter profile 4.85. Well, he plays way faster than that, and it's not so much speed as it is quickness in and out of breaks. He gets up to that speed very, very quickly, and his hips, the way he sells it, where he throws his shoulders and throws his arm up and his head, and, you know, it's really hard as a defensive back. You watch all those things, and you think he's going inside, and then all of a sudden he snaps it off back outside, and he did a great job of creating space, and once again, like you said, they were on the money throwing it to him.
Yeah, it's like that Cooper Cup speed and athleticism. Yeah. You know, I'm sure he gets looked at out there on an NFL field and think, how is he beating me every play? You know, talk about coming off the loss. You know, I know we've talked before. I've heard other coaches say, or I've asked them, you know, like a pregame speech, how do you not give the same one every single time? Or, how do you not give the same motivational speech before a game? But how do you not give the same post-game speech after a loss? How is your message after a loss? Is it kind of just in the moment? Or how do you make sure to not give the same message after each loss as well?
I think every loss too has a life of its own. Just like every win does, and every week does, and the theme and a message. And as a coach, we try the best you can. There's no words. I'm hurt, disappointed. So are they. I've told you guys I hate more than anything feeling like I let our kids down, and ultimately I did. It comes on me, and I told you that last Friday night in the booth. If we're not executing and we're not doing stuff, that's on me because I'm not getting the message across. And so I told them we're going to go to work harder than ever. We did. I know as a coaching staff this weekend, worked our tail off watching film, getting us ready for this week, and said, we want you to do the same. Rally together, and in times of crisis, family comes together. When we talk about a family atmosphere and what we want to be, we don't start casting blame on each other. We come together and we fix it, and that's what we need to do is fix it. And we're capable of it, So my message to them was, we know we didn't play like we're capable of. We know we're better than that. So let's go fix it, But saying it's not enough. We have to actually go do it. You can't just talk about how good you want to be. You can't talk about how you want to fix it. You got to go do it. And so that's what we've been working on in practice this week.
Coach, looking at like kind of the next level, Chris Kleiman losing to Tulane, then goes down to Norman and defeats Oklahoma. And he said in his post-game press conference, every single game, every single week of football is completely different than the last. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit, just on the game itself of how, and especially this season where now 4 weeks in, you've played 4 completely different teams. Can you kind of speak on how this Friday night is so vastly different than last Friday night?
And this one's a way different challenge than we've had. Style. It's the old saying, styles make fights, and stylistically, obviously, the teams that we have tended to struggle with are the super athletic team on the edges, and they were super athletic on the edges. And then this Friday is a team that's just big. I mean, they are huge up front. I know I told you guys this. I think when we played Heston, we thought they looked decently small on film. We're like, man, they're not that big. And Heston was pretty dang big in person. And we're like, man, then that means Hoisington's really big. So that's the tape we had. So I think they're a really big, good football team that get off the ball. Like you said, I think every week, I'd love to go play Cheney in a series of 10. But unfortunately we can't. And that's life. Just like Coach Kleiman at K-State would love to go have another shot at Tulane. Right. And same thing. We even talked about that this week. That's bouncing back. That's facing adversity, getting better from it, and coming out. The Martinez kid, he faced a lot of criticism last week about game manager wouldn't throw the ball, and then he had the game of his life and was the national quarterback of the week. That's how you respond. That's what you do, and that's what you do in life. When life knocks you down with something, what do? You get up, you dust yourself off, and you go back and join the fray again. And that's what we've got to do.
Have you ever had a game end in a lightning delay? We were saying that was the first time that I've only been doing it for 2 years, but have you ever been in a game in your coaching career that lightning's just completely canceled it, or have you ridden out the delay?
I've had 2 beyond this. Now, we've had some delays that we've ridden out, and I remember one time when I was at Schnute, we played at Iola, and we didn't end the game till about 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
That's what we were afraid of.
That's what we thought was going to happen.
And at that time, that was one we didn't quite understand because at halftime we were up 35-0, but it was a rivalry game, and they wanted to finish it. And then I've had 2. When I was at Lewisburg, we played St. James Academy, and then when I was at Linden, we played Mission Valley, that they actually stopped the game at halftime and ended up postponing it till the next day because the lightning was so much in the area. And then so we went home and went and played again the next afternoon.
That would be tough.
Yeah, really tough and different because you got film from half of it.
Yeah.
So you go home, you cram, and see how they're guarding you and how they're doing all this stuff, and then go back and play the second half. Yeah.
That's pretty fast. Is that tough though as a coach to kind of make the decision to say, we lost this one? Is that tough to when you try and instill never give up, always fight, always stand back up, bounce back? Is that tough to say, we lost?
It is, but then I think once again we talk about all the time, you got to balance your kids' best interests. We had a lot of kids. We have kids that are hurt. They were hurt. We had some stuff going on, and then your injury risk increases dramatically if you sit because the best forecast we had was it was going to be at least an hour and a half, and so then those kids sit there and get cold, and that's an hour and a half till we can get back on the field. Then 30 more minutes to warm up. So you're saying 2 hours for 3 minutes. They had the ball. We're down 22. I hate it. I hated doing it, but also you got to weigh that against. Do I want to risk my kids getting further injured for 3 minutes of football, coming out, sitting that long? And I didn't think the injury risk was worth it at that point, and so that's why we made the decision.
All right, let's move on to Hoisington. Wrapped up that week nicely. Let's get to any game awards. We had a tough time giving them out on the air. Just that type of game, there wasn't a lot of big hits on our end. Now, there was when I was going back through and looking through some of my footage. I didn't catch the number, but it was one time that their quarterback was rolling out towards your sideline, kind of threw it on the run, and just took a shot in the ribs.
Oh, yeah, you got a great
if I'd
video
have seen
of
that,
it.
I would have given him the stick of the week or the hit of the game, but I didn't see it live or didn't realize it. But what were the awards handed out this week?
We haven't.
Oh,
so
to be determined.
Yeah. Well, we haven't because typically we talk about we don't want to glorify losses.
Yeah.
Now we'll fix it and we'll say, hey, you did some good things, but we're not in the business probably usually of that. So we haven't done that. And I think the kids even talking, I don't know if they felt like anyone played well enough to deserve one of those. So
how about practice player of the week or anything like that?
Yeah, practice player of the week. Ethan Steinmates has been flat getting after it.
He had a good JV game Monday night.
Great
I
JV
watch
game.
that.
He's a kid that's earning himself some varsity time. I mean, he's just he has a motor that won't quit. He's really quick off the ball and he's tough, and he's a kid that's really stood out to me lately, doing some really, really great things in practice. Speaking of, by the way, Mr. Rector made me, and I have to bring it, and it even says Eastus Media Coaches Show. He made me a hit stick for the Coaches Show.
Oh, wow.
And I left it on my desk, so I apologize.
That's so
Well, speaking of things made that were not forgotten, last show I mentioned, I'd get my first sponsor and hang
my
it right
mom.
up here on the wall.
Yeah.
After the game was over, she comes up to the booth there and so generously, I'm going to put this up there and see if anybody can see that.
Gosh.
Oh, yeah, that is great.
is
Awesome. There we go. Eastus
Yeah.
Media. $2. Thank you
so cool.
from the Hoelting
yeah.
family. See, I knew
My
some of the
mom is
Hoeltings
something.
loved me.
Yeah.
I don't care what you
Some.
say, Brent. Yeah, I don't care what you say about my tennis shoes. I bet they don't make fun of my tennis shoes.
They haven't seen his tennis shoes he's been wearing lately.
Now I need to start.
They're the
They're
picture.
dead to me.
They're
You'll never see them again.
They're dad shoes. It's okay.
I have 5
Accept
kids.
it.
Of course, they're dad shoes.
Accept it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Geriatric ones.
He's
Okay,
mowing the
I
lawn
said moving
in the
on.
jean
Moving
shorts.
on, moving on.
He actually sent me a picture the next day, and he's like, "Look at my new mowing shoes."
Oh, man,
I did.
are you
I did.
serious?
I was gonna get.
Oh my
I
god.
was gonna get some use out of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was great.
That is fantastic.
Okay, on to Hoisington. They've got an impressive record as well, same as us. 3-1. Week 1 loss against Heston, which I don't know if that was an anomaly or just that kind of week 1 jitters. We saw it last
I thought they
year.
outplayed them really.
I didn't go back and watch a lot of the film, but since then, boy, they've only given up 6 points. We got Halstead 28-0, Lions 56-6, and Southwest Heights 49-0. So just on paper, it looks like physical, tough to score against.
And their varsity has given up none of those.
That's what I assumed was that 6 of those points probably came, with a running clock in the second
Correct.
half.
And last year obviously we caught them and first game in our offense and got on them pretty good. So we expect nothing less than their best shot. I mean, we know they're going to come out. I know Zach's a fantastic coach and they have a great program. Even after that one, you look and they ran the table. We beat them, and everyone's saying, "Man, Hoisington down." And I remember telling to people at school, telling Coach Swank, he's like, "Do you think they're down this year?" And I was like, "No, they're good. We just caught them on the wrong night." Kind of like us last Friday. We caught them on the wrong night, and they're going to have a great year. And they went off and won their next 8 games, and went 8-1 in the regular season, and beat Beloit in districts, and Beloit ends up going on and being the 2A state runner-up. So they were a good football team, and they're a great football team this year. They are big, physical. I thought they had some fumble issue on pitches, stuff when you're breaking in. They're the kind of team, especially with that offense, the flex bone, you get in a rhythm with it. And I thought they made some uncharacteristic mistakes, kind of like they did against us last year, uncharacteristically. First game of the year, but they look really, really good right now. run like a well machine. They are I would say the biggest. I would be really shocked if we played a bigger team. I think they average around 270, 280 up front. And start the Hoffman kid, I think, who's 330, and not a 330 that can't move. I mean, he's really agile, 6'3", and that's why he's getting big college looks. They're a really good football team. They got the Moore kid and the Thomas kid in the backfield, and a bunch of other kids they can pitch it to. So we'll have to be ready to go. I mean, this is one of those bring your lunch pails to work. It's going to be physical. You're going to be sore after the game. There's going to be a lot of hitting. So you got to meet and exceed their intensity. It's homecoming for them. So we know we're going to get their best shot Friday night.
Do you like that as a head coach? There's a lot of great coaches on a lot of great teams, a lot of great coaches on our schedule this season. Do you like that, saying, well, I'm going against one of the most famous guys in the Central Kansas League and kind of the coach to beat? Do you like saying that I'm going against a guy who I know is not going to make mistakes, who's going to come in with a good strategy and get his kids ready to play? Yeah,
I think that's the fun of it. That's why you get into coaching is these games. Even the games last week and stuff. Those are the reasons you get into coaching, is because that's fun. That's fun. Competition is fun.
Yeah.
And knowing you're going to come in against a team that's going to be well prepared, well coached, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun to go in there because it's like a chess match. You want to see if your move can counteract, and then what's really fun is you want to try to set up a move that's 4 or 5 moves later. You set stuff up, and so I think that's a lot of fun. That's why you get into coaching, and these games are you're playing for a. Obviously we've set ourselves up beating Heston, and we're the only league team without a loss right now, but playing for a big chance at a league title, a big step towards a league title. These are the games you live for.
Talk their offense a little bit. You talked about the rhythm of it. How important is it to get them out of that rhythm with some of our playmakers on that defensive side to get them out of that rhythm and kind of us dictate more what they do on the defensive end?
I think it's really important. I think against them, what you have to do is show different looks all the time. You can't keep the same look, because then they'll find the weak spot. And that's what we try to do with our offense. They may run, midline or outside veer 7 plays in a row if you're giving them a look to do it. And we'll do the same thing. If you're giving us that look and that's what you're giving up, we're going to run it until you adjust and then find something else. So I think it's really important versus them to change up your defensive looks all the time and try to make them guessing. When they can go downhill hard and they know their reads and it's just automatic for them, they're really tough to stop because they get off the ball really well. Like I said, they are really big. They get a lot of push, and then their reads, whether they give, keep, or pitch. I think you got to change that up. You got to change up who's got what. You got to change up your launch points, your angles. And so then you start them thinking. And when they're thinking, they don't make as fast decisions. And when they don't make as fast decisions, you get more of a chance to rally around the football. But if they get off the ball fast and they're making great decisions and it's quick and everything's easy, they're really, really tough to stop.
Speak about that now for your side when you have the football, about that defensive front. Those same guys will line up on the other side of the football, and you're a little bit banged up, but Max Uni has been playing really well. What will be your keys on offense against this Cardinal front kind of 7?
Execute, and we got to get off the ball. I think that's the big thing for us is we've got to get some vertical push. I thought we've been going a little horizontal, even on our sweeps, stuff like that are big plays for us. We've been stringing them out too much. And by we, I mean not the defense. We've been running it at bad angles. I think that once we clear the outer edge, we've got to get upfield. We've got to get north-south, because when you do that, then sometimes you destroy pursuit angles as well. And I think when you head towards the sidelines more, the pursuit catches up. And so we've really worked this week on getting our foot in the ground, getting north-south, one cut, go. And I think when you do that, then it makes it a lot harder on our offense with all the reads you have to do and all the different people that can carry the ball and all the stuff we have going on in the backfield. It makes it a lot, makes it a lot harder. And so we've got to get back to doing that. We've got to get back to playing with more pace, more force vertically. And then I think that will open up a lot more things in our offense.
We're going to get to the next question here. Speaking of maybe opening up more things on the offense. Again, Liggett gets really excited to send these questions in. He is now a super fan of the show. So
yeah, like the old Chicago Bears super fans. I think that's what he's going.
I think that's the theme he's going for. So yeah, so we're gonna get one here from Coach Liggett. Here we go.
Hey Cody, thanks for having me on the show again. Got a question for Coach Hoelting.
Oh, boy.
I recently watched the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary titled Air Bud Golden Retriever. It's about a team that overcame all odds by
I keep
putting a
thinking
golden
they
retriever at
worse.
wide receiver, and he was a difference maker for him. So my question for Coach Hoelting is, have you ever thought about having Ribbert, the Fighting Frog, try out for the Pratt High football team? And if he did try out, what position do you think you'd put him at?
Well,
That's actually
See,
a
I couldn't
fascinating
come up with a
question.
question that good, so I'm
I'd
going to
rather
let you answer
I'd rather
that.
have Grace, my Saint Bernard, and just put the ball in a pouch on her and see someone tackle her. But, I mean, you'd think if it's Ribbert, he's got to be able to jump. And
That's
and
true.
Yeah,
You got to throw fades into the end zone to Ribbert, right?
That's true.
I mean, he's got to out-jump everybody.
Hey, speaking
You'd
of
boss everybody.
jumping, that made me think of Arlie Morell, which made me think of punting. Are we going to see the rugby style punt again this week?
I'll have to
I
find out.
kind of went on a little tangent there, kind of 7 degrees of Arlie Morell.
I
But
hope you don't see a punter period on Friday.
That would be ideal.
hey, I like that too. Okay, I won't press you on that one.
Honestly,
I probably won't answer it.
honestly, though, you did. This is the first time all season that the special teams hasn't won,
And that was a big deal.
So how do you correct that? So there were punting issues, and they had a big kickoff return that pretty much sealed it when
Yeah.
they scored after
Yeah,
that,
'cause,
and then the safety, of course. So this is the
Well,
first time
and
we've lost special
and
teams.
their punts pinned us inside
twice
the
inside one.
The one, which
yeah,
is,
which is hard to do. I mean, they would be hard to replicate on air.
Yeah.
But, they did it. And then, as I said, it was one of those nights where the ball bounced their way. And I think that's a big deal. We've talked about that a lot. We spent a lot of time on special teams this week. Like, guys, we had won it handily and won games handily. And now we lost special teams handily and we lost handily. So I think that's a big focus this week. We've moved some new guys in, pulled some guys out, tried to maybe get some more older guys on some of those teams because we've got to get back to winning special teams. Like you said, we averaged 20 yards a punt. They averaged 40 yards a punt. They had the big return. They had the safety, which they did come back and tell us was an incorrect call, by the way.
Yeah, that
So
was.
what
I
is
don't
that?
think
I thought
that
it
was
was.
the only incorrect call that game.
Well,
I told Timish
I
I
won't
was going to
comment on the
phone him
rest.
in, and he said, "I'm not commenting either."
That's probably good.
Yeah, you will.
what-
You don't have to.
What
but
is
I
the
will.
official rule on that, though? Because Johnny, that's what we pointed out on the radio broadcast.
looked-
We were like, Johnny was like, hold on a minute. What's
the official rule is if you carry a punt or a kickoff in the end zone, which is what they said he did, that's different. If you muff it and the ball touches or goes past the plane of the end zone, once it does, it is a touchback. Even if he grabs control of it in the end zone, because any ball when you grab control in the end zone is a touchback in high school, even if your foot hits it, whatever. And unfortunately, the ball did, on film. Of course, they don't have that benefit of film, but the ball rolled into the end zone, and that's when he picked it up. But if you don't clearly gain possession, now if he gained possession, fumbled it, got it back in the end zone, that's a safety. But if you don't gain possession and the ball touches the end zone, the plane of the end zone, then it's a touchback.
Another one. And this one, they got the call right here, but I had a lot of people text me like in real time on the 2-point conversion that we fumbled forward and then recovered in the end zone. I had people right away saying, "Well, how come we didn't get the two?"
It doesn't
Explain that
matter
a
if you
little bit.
fumble forward or backwards on 4th downs and 2-point conversions. The only person that can recover a fumble is the person who fumbled. So that's the deal. On 4th downs and 2-point conversions, the only person that can recover it is the person who fumbled it. So, yeah, that was a correct call.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was just an offensive fumble, couldn't be advanced forward.
forward.
It
Like
can
in
if he recovered.
So he can recover it and still advance it
Right,
forward.
right.
Okay. I don't got any more questions. Austin, you got
Is
anything
there any
for
other?
Coach
I
Hoelting?
didn't know if there were any.
We kind of
other,
asked some of the ones that were asked. We had a couple come in pre-show, but some of them were just asking about us broadcasting. But nothing for Coach.
Just overall, do you feel like these past couple days in practice have been pretty solid to say, all right, we want to try and defend league title, even though it's not a district game, it's still a very important game, like you kind of alluded to earlier.
Yeah, one of the things I've been really proud of our kids is I think, one of the things we talked about is leadership. Sometimes you got to have someone that's a senior, not a coach, willing to step in the huddle and say, hey, we're not playing up to our capabilities. Let's pick it up and challenge their classmates. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do to your peers. And I've been really pleased with some of our kids and their efforts to step up leadership this week, to make sure we're going in the right direction, to make sure we're doing the right thing, and that we're always focused in all the time. So I've been really proud of that this week. I think we've had a sharp week of practice so far, and so we'll see what happens on Friday night.
You talk about that leadership just a little bit there. We don't see him out on the field this season, but that going into the season, we knew that was a big part of what Sam Bergner, brought to this team was just kind of that glue and cohesiveness of in a game against like Cheney being like, hey guys, he's that voice in the huddle that you knew would be there, and now he's not, and you can see a little bit in a little adversity there that someone hasn't quite taken that role of what we knew Sam would do,
right? And that's tough, and
not putting that on anybody else.
Right.
It's just you can tell that void is there a little bit missing Sam.
And that's how we all miss him. Heck, I miss Sam every day. I just miss coaching him. He's a great kid, and Sam and I talked about that Friday night. Said, hey, just because you're not out there doesn't mean you're not out there. Like, you're the leader, and Sam knows it, and he's trying to do a better job of stepping up and even in practice and talking, because he's a voice that everyone respects and will listen to because of the kind of kid he is and his journey and what he's been through and how hard he works. I mean, to be honest, he works really, really hard, and he always has. So I think our kids have been doing a better job of that. It's hard. It's hard to you always try to impress leadership, but it's hard for them to think they need to step up and say stuff and put themselves at odds with potentially teammates, even though our kids have responded really well when things are going good, and so then you're not prepared when things go bad right away. But then I think our kids took some time to process it. Man, we really do. We got to step up. We got to lead. I tell them all the time, every great team I've ever been a part of has been player-led, not coach-led, and our job is to get you the X and O's, get you in position, do all that stuff. You guys got to lead the team, because ultimately, you're who you want to listen to, and your word means more to your peers than mine does. Not that we don't have great relationships with them, but we're on them about stuff all the time. It wears thin, so we can't do it all the time. So kids have to step up and do it, and I've really been proud of how they've done that this week.
Well, Coach, I know we've got, heading into Hoisington this week and talking about leadership. We got good leadership at the top with, you and all the assistant coaches, so I'm not too worried about coming off a loss like that. You'll get them started in the right direction. Friday night, at Hoisington. Now, we did see, we had some people ask if we were going to stream it again. I don't know, probably not. Hoisington looks like they partnered with Huddle, so I guess Huddle offers a streaming service now.
If it's, you'll see it mounted on their booth.
So they'll probably put some links out. They usually do it on YouTube, but it looks like this Pratt game is going to be the first one that they're switching over to their new service. So you won't get the video that we did last week, but we're still going to be on the radio, and Austin will share all the links for where to find that. And
awesome.
Coach, good luck Friday night. It's going to be a big one. Always in. Appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.